Good afternoon, I'm Melissa Negrini, and we begin with the latest developments in the Middle East. Following rockets launched toward northern Israel by the terror group Hezbollah, Israel has intensified its military operations in Lebanon, including airstrikes and ground operations, targeting Hezbollah and related infrastructure, with 2 Israeli casualties confirmed by the IDF in Beirut. In a post on X, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stated that in the past week they have acted with force, initiative, and determination against their enemies, adding that they will continue to act with all their might until they achieve all their objectives.
The IDF continues to strike in Lebanon and Iran. Earlier today, we announced the death of 2 soldiers. Maher Khatar, 38 years old from Majil Shams, and another fighter whose name has not yet been permitted for publication. May their memory be a blessing. These fighters were killed as a result of fire that was opened upon them as they were protecting the frontline communities in northern Israel. I want to extend my condolences to the families on behalf of myself and the IDF. We are going to continue to support these families. When I spoke with the head of the Northern Command today, he commended the fighters who are operating in northern Israel and southern Lebanon as the protectors of northern Israel.
Reports emerged that Iran struck one of Bahrain's desalination plants, vital to Gulf nations' drinking water supply. In an ex-post, the Ministry of Interior of Bahrain stated that Iranian aggression indiscriminately attacked civilian targets and caused material damage to a water desalination plant following a drone attack.
We affirm the importance of the distinctive character that sets our civilized society apart, embodied in the noble values passed down through generations and preserved in word and deed. We deeply regret the unprecedented attacks that our beloved country, as well as our Arab brotherly states and friendly nations, have been subjected to, attacks that cannot be justified under any pretext by Iran. Bahrain has always been, and will remain, a state of peace that has never initiated hostility toward anyone, and has pursued only the path of cooperation and good neighborliness.
Residents in Dubai and Abu Dhabi reported hearing explosions from successful interceptions of Iranian missiles, with the UAE Ministry of Defense stating that 16 ballistic missiles, together with 113 drones, were successfully intercepted and destroyed. The ministry stated in a post on X that the Minister of State for Defense Affairs, Mohammed bin Mubarak bin Fadal al-Mazrui, held discussions with defense ministers of a number of countries, focusing on developments in the region, the blatant Iranian attacks against the United Arab Emirates, and ways to strengthen defense partnerships and expand areas of joint defense cooperation.
United Arab Emirates has confirmed the latest aerial attack from Iran involved over 130 missiles and drones. According to an official statement from the UAE Ministry of Defense, air defense systems successfully intercepted 16 ballistic missiles and 113 drones, while 1 missile fell into the sea, and only 4 drones landed at unnamed locations within the country. Media outlets in UAE support government statements with reports that the country's advanced air defenses are actively operating across the nation to counter these incoming threats from Iran, ensuring the safety of citizens and infrastructure. This escalation marks a new phase in regional tensions, with UAE forces on high alerts. Lovewood News correspondent Donald Makombe.
In a video broadcast on Sunday, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian threatened to expand attacks on American targets across the Middle East, framing them as defensive responses to ongoing US and Israeli airstrikes. Pezeshkian stated that when they were attacked, they had no choice but to respond, and added that the more pressure the US and Israel impose on Tehran, the stronger the Iranian response will naturally be. This marked a quick shift in the president's remarks from the previous day, where he appeared to apologize for Iranian strikes affecting Gulf nations.
اما اتفاقی که داره رخ میده اینه که از هر کشوری بخوان به خاک ما حمله کنن و تجاوز کنن، طبیعتاً ما مجبوریم جواب اونها رو بدیم و هر مقدار این فشاری که اینا وارد میکنن بیشتر باشه، قدرت برخورد ما طبیعتاً بیشتر خواهد بود. و تصوری که میکنن که ما عذرخواهی کردیم، ما از مردم عزیزی که تصور میکنن در منطقه این دعوا اونها رو نگران کرده، ناراحتیم که اونها نگرانن. ولی اونایی که از خاکشون به ما حمله کردن طبیعتاً پاسخ خواهیم داد و با قدرت پاسخ دارن میدن. این دوتا با هم جداست. ما با کشورهای منطقه دوستیم، اونا برادرانمان. من دیروزم گفتم.
Over the weekend, Israel conducted airstrikes on multiple oil storage and logistics sites around Tehran, with at least 4 deaths reported. The IDF stated that the depots were used by Iran's armed forces to fuel missile production, storage of propellants for ballistic missiles, and broader war efforts. Massive fires ignited at the targeted facilities, producing thick black smoke plumes visible across the city overnight, with reports from residents of smoke so dense that it blocked sunlight the following day.
We did not allow and will not allow American and Israeli ships and those who directly entered the war with us to pass. And about 300 large oil tankers and container ships are currently stopped on both sides of the Strait of Hormuz. In a few days, this war has already affected the price of oil, the price of gas, and global stock markets. 23,000 international flights and millions of passengers are wandering around regional airports because of this war. And therefore it can be said that the consequences of this war are for all the people of the world.
And in an interesting turn of events, former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair publicly criticised current Prime Minister Keir Starmer for initially refusing US President Donald Trump permission to use British bases. He stated at a Jewish news event over the weekend that the UK should have backed America from the very beginning. President Trump, in a post on Truth Social, speaking of the UK as their once great ally, maybe the greatest of them all, is finally giving serious thought to sending 2 aircraft carriers to the Middle East. However, the US president reassured Starmer that they don't require them any longer, as they don't need people that join wars after they've already won. Subsequently, the UK Prime Minister spoke with President Trump by phone on Sunday amid their strained relations.
The British government has offered use of some bases now, and you had previously said you were very disappointed in them.
The 2 aircraft carriers?
I mean, about British bases, they said.
See my response that I just put out? I just put out a response. Give me the offer to send 2 aircraft carriers, maybe, but they're not sure. I just put out a response to it. I said, we don't need them. It's not the right time. It would have been nice to have had them 2 weeks ago, but the response I put out, I think, says it very well for you.
Providing an update on the war in a post on Truth Social, US President Donald Trump noted that America has concluded a very good meeting with the largest US defense manufacturing companies, and added that they have agreed to quadruple production of the exquisite class weaponry with the aim to reach the highest levels of quantity. Following this post in an interview with the press aboard Air Force One, President Trump stated that the US is winning the war by a lot, adding that he is sure it will still continue for a little while, and emphasized that he is very proud of the people. The commander-in-chief also stated that there will be no deal with Iran except unconditional surrender.
The president will be meeting with defense contractors here at the White House in a few minutes with Secretary Hegseth. This is a pre-scheduled meeting, and the purpose of it is to talk about the president's aggressive and fierce support for rapidly increasing the ability of U.S. manufacturers to produce American-made weapons, which we know are the best in the world. The president signed an executive order on this earlier this year. This is a long-held policy objective of this administration, and so he'll be speaking directly with these defense contractors. But of course, as the president has maintained, we have more than enough ammunition, weapons, stockpiles to achieve the objectives of Operation Epic Fury.
For more updates on the developments in the Middle East, stay tuned to any of our Love World Network news channels as we bring you the latest. And now moving on to more updates from around the globe. Over the weekend, President Trump hosted the first ever Shield of the Americas Summit in Miami, marking the inaugural gathering under the new US-led initiative, described by the White House and State Department as a coalition of like-minded allies in the Western Hemisphere. The initiative seeks to promote freedom, security, and prosperity whilst countering shared threats. Leaders from 12 Latin American and Caribbean countries attended the summit, including Salvadorian President Nayib Bukele, Argentina's head of state Javier Milei, and others from Bolivia, Honduras, and Panama. During the meeting, President Trump announced the formation of the America's Counter-Cartel Coalition, a new military coalition which will eradicate drug trafficking cartels, transnational gangs, and related narco-terrorism. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, in a post on X, commented that because of this coalition, together with their partners, the U.S. will transform the Western Hemisphere.
This morning, I'm honored to welcome distinguished heads of state from across the Western Hemisphere for the first Shield of the Americas Summit. And it's something very, very special. Marco's been working on it very hard, so have a lot of other people, because it's a very important place for us. But on this historic day, we come together to announce a brand new military coalition to eradicate the criminal cartels plaguing our region. And you have a lot of it. One of the things when we were talking backstage, you were telling me the crime, the cartels, and we're knocking the hell out of them where we can. We're going to go heavier. You saw what we were doing with the boats coming in. The boats, there's not a lot of people coming in by boats anymore. We knocked down drugs coming in by sea. Drugs coming in through water is down 96%. We're trying to find out who the other 4% are, because I think they're the bravest people in the world. Either that or they don't watch television, right? They're either very brave or they're not watching. But we're calling this military partnership the America's Counter-Cartel Coalition. And that's what you need. You have cartels. They seem to grow in this region unbelievably rapidly. It has to do with drugs largely. Earlier this week here in Miami, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, who's right here. Pete, you are fantastic, doing a great job. We're proud of you. And representatives of 17 different nations formally entered this new alliance. The heart of our agreement is a commitment to using lethal military force to destroy the sinister cartels and terrorist networks once and for all. We'll get rid of them. We need your help. You have to just tell us where they are. We have amazing weaponry, as you probably noticed over the last short period of time. But I want to thank members of the coalition, most of whom are friends of mine. Few of them I just met, but most of whom are friends. But the president of Argentina is here, Javier Milei. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here. President of El Salvador, another friend, Nayib Bukele, you know, he is a man who we've gotten very close to. I saw him as a young man my first time. You were young and handsome. Now you're older and handsome. You're older and handsome. But he runs a good operation. That's all I care about, right? When I first saw him, I said, he's too young. And then I saw the job he did. I said, well, I guess he's not too young, because I was young and did well. But you've been a great president, and we appreciate the relationship very much.
During a press conference on the sidelines of the 4th session of the 14th National People's Congress, China's annual 2 sessions parliamentary meetings, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi discussed the country's foreign policy and international relations. In response to questions from domestic and international media, Wang highlighted that 2026 marks the 30th anniversary of the China-Russia Strategic Partnership of Coordination and the 25th anniversary of the China-Russia Treaty of Good Neighborliness and Friendly Cooperation. The foreign minister also noted that China and Russia's relations have stood rock solid against all odds.
This year marks the 30th anniversary of the China-Russia Strategic Partnership of Coordination and the 25th anniversary of the China-Russia Treaty of Good Neighborliness and Friendly Cooperation. In a fluid and turbulent world, China-Russia relationship has stood rock solid against all odds. How is that achieved? I think the main reason is that the China-Russia Strategic Partnership of Coordination has been based on equality, respect, and mutual benefit since day one. It embodies the essence of a new type of international relations and represents the direction of a new type of major country relations. China and Russia are strategically independent. We always respect each other's core interests, do not impose the agenda of one on the other, and keep to the principle of non-alliance, non-confrontation, and not targeting any third party. China and Russia share a high degree of political mutual trust. Working back to back lies at the heart of this relationship. And the strong strategic resilience enables it to defy any external instigation or pressure. China and Russia act in close coordination. In major international and regional affairs, China and Russia share the broadest strategic consensus and closest strategic coordination, including defending international rules and order that you asked about. 80 years ago, China and Russia together contributed to the building of the post-war order. Today, 80 years on, China and Russia together will add momentum to the advent of a multipolar world.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's continued refusal to provide accurate feedback regarding the Druzhba pipeline was the final straw for Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico. In a previous attempt to pressure Zelensky into cooperating, the Prime Minister cut off emergency electricity supplies to Ukraine. But it appears even that was not enough to secure his compliance. Fico, in a video address, stated that the Ukrainian president is permanently damaging both Slovakia and Hungary by blocking oil supplies from Russia. Taking it a step further, the Prime Minister boldly stated that Slovakia is ready to take over the baton from Hungary if necessary, adding that for now the €90 billion loan to Ukraine is effectively blocked. He made this statement in light of Hungary's upcoming election in April, where concerns over reported efforts to manipulate the vote against Prime Minister Viktor Orban have surfaced.
Our decision to stop the supply of diesel and emergency electricity to Ukraine and the Hungarian decision to block a military loan for Ukraine are only the logical consequences of the Ukrainian president's foolish move to stop the supply of oil to Slovakia and Hungary. The Ukrainian president is permanently damaging us and thinks he will force us to change our peaceful stance to a pro-war one. He is absolutely wrong here. He does not know me. Besides, the 90 billion war loan for Ukraine, in which neither Slovakia nor Hungary nor the Czech Republic are participating, is not a loan at all, but a simple gift. Because Ukraine will repay nothing of these 90 billion euros, just as it will repay nothing of the hundreds of billions of euros it has received to motivate it to fight the Russian Federation to the last Ukrainian soldier. Oil supplies through the territory of Ukraine are vitally important to us. However, it is obvious that the Ukrainian president does not intend to continue them, which will mean huge losses for us both in the price of the commodity and in transit fees. Otherwise, it should be reminded that the Slovnaft refinery has started drawing oil from the state material reserves within the declared state of oil emergency. I will continue to propose that the Commission force the Ukrainian president. It has all the leverage to do so, to allow a visit to the site where the oil pipeline is allegedly damaged. Our information and satellite images confirm that there is nothing wrong with the pipeline. If we delay, I have absolutely no doubt that the Ukrainian president is capable of destroying the pipeline. After all, even the destruction of the Nord Stream underwater gas pipeline by Ukrainian special forces could not have taken place without his knowledge. He will also offer Slovak repair capacities to the President of the European Commission, if it is really necessary to tighten some scrap on the Druzhba oil pipeline in Ukraine. But the most important message will be that Slovakia is ready to take over the baton from Hungary if necessary. For now, the 90 billion military loan for Ukraine is effectively blocked. I am not naive, however. The Ukrainian president has most recently been talking about resuming supplies in a month or a month and a half. That is, after the elections in Hungary, where he is relying on the opposition's victory. After that, there will be no chance for oil from the east, unless someone else takes over the Hungarian baton.
In a touching tradition the West could learn from, Russian men across the country and even soldiers in liberated territories flooded flower shops on International Women's Day to present heartfelt bouquets to women. This highlights a long-standing tradition marking the national holiday with celebrations in Moscow, where men give flowers and gifts to women in appreciation for all they do. Videos were also shared on social media of Russian soldiers handing flowers to women in occupied Ukrainian regions. Russian President Vladimir Putin released a special message to all the women in his country, where he stated that they admire their beautiful women and emphasized that from the bottom of their hearts, they express to them words of love, appreciation, and gratitude. He went on to speak about a mother's love, emphasizing that it remains in the heart of every person for life, warms, multiplies joyful emotions, and gives strength in the most difficult moments of trials, something I think all of us can relate to.
Дорогие женщины, искренне рад поздравить вас с Международным женским днем. Мы всегда отмечаем этот праздник самыми светлыми, теплыми чувствами. Восхищаемся нашими прекрасными женщинами. От всего сердца говорим вам слова любви, признательности и благодарности. Щедрая, милосердная, по-настоящему мудрая женская душа делает мир лучше и добрее. А материнская любовь остается в сердце каждого человека на всю жизнь. Согревает, умножает радостные эмоции и придает сил в самую трудную минуту испытаний. Порой кажется, что нет таких вершин, которые были бы недоступны нашим женщинам. Вы добиваетесь потрясающих результатов в самых разных профессиях. Когда этого требует дело, проявляете исключительную стойкость характера, волевые и лидерские качества. Вы без колебаний приходите на помощь к тем, кто в ней нуждается. окружаете вниманием и заботой родных и близких, посвящаете себя воспитанию детей. Важно это ценить и понимать. И мы обязательно продолжим создавать все условия и на государственном уровне, и, уверен, в семьях, для того, чтобы женщинам было легче совмещать материнство с профессиональным ростом, с успешной самореализацией, чтобы им не приходилось откладывать на потом свое семейное, женское, материнское счастье. Отдельно хочу сегодня поздравить женщин, которые выполняют задачи в зоне специальной военной операции. Работают в очень непростых условиях на Донбассе и в Новороссии, в наших приграничных регионах. Везде вы проявляете смелость и мужество, самоотверженность и силу духа. Искренне и сердечно благодарю вас. Хочу пожелать вам счастья с теми, кто вам дорог, успехов в том, что для вас важно, здоровья и благополучия вам и всем вашим близким. С праздником! С Международным женским днем.
And now let's take a recap of today's headlines. President Trump praises America's strength and rejects need for UK naval assistance.
I just put out a response. Give me the offer to send 2 aircraft carriers. Maybe, but they're not sure. I just put out a response. I said, we don't need them.
President Trump hosts inaugural Shield of the Americas Summit in Miami.
But on this historic day, we come together to announce a brand new military coalition to eradicate the criminal cartels plaguing our region.
Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico draws the line over Ukraine's Druzhba pipeline obstruction.
The Ukrainian president is permanently damaging us and thinks he will force us to change our peaceful stance to a pro-war one. He is absolutely wrong here.
Russians mark International Women's Day with heartfelt gestures.
Дорогие женщины, искренне рад поздравить вас с Международным женским днем. Мы всегда отмечаем этот праздник самыми светлыми, теплыми чувствами.
And that brings us to the end of this 2 p.m. news update. Thank you for watching. This is LN24 International, news that is truth, the pulse of trusted analysis. My name is Melissa Negrini. Have a great afternoon and goodbye.
LN24, the Global News Authority.